How do you access the CMA? Now we're going to do this through FMLS. Okay. So if you're used to doing Georgia MLS, please adjust accordingly. There's a few slightly maybe different ways to get to it, but ultimately it's going to be the same process. The information we go over will be the same. It just may be how you actually access the Cloud CMA. So we'll do it through FMLS. If you have questions after, please feel free to let us know. So first things first, we're going to go to FMLS, right? Very simple. Get your login and log into FMLS. Now what you want to do is not go to first to Cloud CMA, okay? So that can be something that a lot of agents see and think, hey, yeah, I'm running a Cloud CMA. Let me go straight to Cloud CMA. But actually, that's not the easiest and best way for you to run a Cloud CMA. It may be the easiest in the sense of you can produce a Cloud CMA faster, but it's not necessarily the best way to do it for you. So we'll actually run a Cloud CMA by going to Matrix. So we're going to go to Matrix first. That's where we're actually going to start doing this Cloud CMA through. So log into your Matrix. And then typically you're going to have an address, right? A seller who's going to say, hey, let's talk about you selling my home. What would you sell it for? That type stuff. So that's where you're going to start. Now we're going to use an address that's not really for sale, but it is an address that's in a neighborhood that has a lot of properties that we can see. And so that's what we're looking for in this scenario. So I just opened up search, haven't done anything else on here. The only thing we're going to do is come over here to select all. Let me increase the screen here. Okay, so go to select all, so you have everything. So everything's highlighted here in this section. And ultimately, if you can have a neighborhood subdivision name, that's going to be your best chance to get the absolute best criteria for your subject property. But if you can't do that, you can go up here to, you know, quarter mile of the address of that property or half a mile or whatever you want to do. But let's say that we have the actual subdivision name. That's what we're going to start right here. And so this one we're going to use for our example is in the Mountain Creek subdivision. And so what we're going to do here is go over and make sure, because Mountain Creek's pretty generic, there may be multiple subdivision names by that name. We'll know if it's in my city or not that I'm trying to get, because you can look at the matches down here. So we have 21 matches in Mountain Creek, but once I go in and say it's in Roswell, we actually dropped to 14. So there's 7 Mountain Creek properties in another city somewhere else. And so that's not going to help us if we're just looking at Mountain Creek and Roswell. So Mountain Creek, Roswell, those are the only things that we need to start to be able to do our CMA. So we're just going to start there. The thought behind that is you start very, you know, top level, high level, and then dig your way down to the actual comps, you know, maybe 3 solds, 1 active, 1 pending, that type stuff. But we're going to start high level. Let's just see what's happening in that neighborhood. So 14 matches, we're going to press results. And now we have a list of all of those 14 properties, right? You've got active under contracts, 1 pending, 2 times withdrawn, and then all of these closed. And so that's really good that we have some actual closed properties to look at. And if you look back at this, when you select these options, they go back 180 days by default, which is fine. So you don't have to change that unless you just want to. Now you could go change that 180 to 90, just so you can see the last 3 months, or even 60 or 30 if you have a lot of closed, because you may want to just see, hey, we only need 3 to 5. Let's just tighten that time frame down. So we have our properties here. You can see they range from, you know, closed 387 to 508. Active under contracts, there's 2 at exactly the same price. So, you know, you've got a wide range in the closed, but active and pending are all pretty close. So this neighborhood, you could say, is around 400 to 500, right? So a fairly tight window for the properties that are being sold and active under contract in there. So that gives you your first signal. Okay, I'm working in a $400,000 to $500,000 category, most likely for the home that I have to run this comp on. And I actually have an address inside of this subdivision, just like you were meeting a seller, you would have their address. And so we'll plug that in a little bit later to actually see, you know, what that property is made of. But I'll tell you, it's 4-bed, 2.5 bath, and about 2,200 square feet. So why is that important? Well, because over here in the square footage, there's a 3,300 and there's a 1,900. So that's a pretty big range. So I'm probably not going to use this 3,300 square foot because it's 1,000 more than my comp, right? So again, you're starting high level. You're like, hey, let me see and pick through these and see which comp might be comparable to the one that I have. So I said 2,200 square feet. We definitely want some active under contracts or active properties if there are any available. So we'll just say these first two. Let's just take those. So we put a check mark. There's one pending. It's about my square footage. So let's just say, let's take that one too. We won't take the withdrawals, but it's something to note possibly later. But we'll just skip those for now. And let's go into, let's see, there's a 2,800, there's a 2,200. So that's the one I have. There's a 2,000, so that's close enough. And then there's a 2,800. So let's just go with those just for now to take a look at. Now, my subject property, you may have never been in the subject property that you're actually going to do the CMA for, right? You're meeting the seller for the first time at their property. And so if that's the case, if you've never been in that property, you really want to think about it like having a low, a middle, and a high range of pricing when you're looking through these comps. You have to think about that now before you even get to the property because you want to be prepared. And the low and the middle and the high, the way you think about it is the middle is like average property for that neighborhood. The low means that the subject property you're looking at needs updating. It's not as updated as the average. And then the high end means that your subject property is upgraded more than the average property in that neighborhood. So just in your mind, think, okay, I'm going to come in with three ranges, a low, mid, and a high. And then when I see the property, when I'm walking through it with the seller, then I'm going to start to categorize it into one of those three buckets so that when we finish the conversation and get down to pricing at the end, then I can really talk to them about, all right, I think your best range is going to be here to here, right? And in your head, you're already going to know it because you did your preparation beforehand. So that's why we think about those ranges. And that's what this information is going to give us. So we've highlighted 2 active under contracts, 1 pending, and 3 closed. Now, you really want to get into the fine tuning of it. What you would do is go into all of these pictures. You would look at this home. You would think about, again, if you've never seen that home, you're going to go on the listing appointment with, you would just start formulating. Okay, this house, let's see the inside. Okay, it's got carpet. It's got some tile on the floors. And sorry, I'll slow the clicking down. It has some carpet in the living room, looks in fairly good condition. You're just looking for cues. Is it updated or is it not updated? Does it need paint and carpet, cosmetic things? Are the windows older? Are all of the ceilings steepled like in this home, or are they all flat in the other homes, right? Because that could be a difference in how it's going to be marketed to a buyer. This one looks like it has tile. It has, there's the powder room. It has nice countertops, it looks like, a nice farmhouse sink, stainless steel appliances. So those are the types of things you're looking for. The backsplash looks updated. The range is a wolf range. So really nice, appliances on that side of it. So that's what you're looking at, right? So we'll stop there. Obviously, you would go through all the pictures. And now let's go to our next comp. So we're going to look inside this home, okay, and see what's going on there. So it looks like hardwood floors. Kitchen has granite, has nice cabinets. So you could say it's a similar quality, to the last one. Let's see this one, see if there's any big differences in how this one looks. So you've got looks like it might be an LVP, luxury vinyl plank type floor, or hardwood, looks like luxury vinyl maybe on there. Still have nice, looks like the walls are nice, looks like everything's painted, it has stainless steel appliances. You have a butcher block countertop. An appraiser probably will give a little bit less for that just because it's not a solid stone and it does require a little more maintenance, but it still looks nice. So marketability for the buyers is still there. So probably not a big reduction if you're working with your seller and try to figure out price points. Looks very nice, very high quality. So all of those price points, 400 up to 450, when you're looking at those comps sold, all are a similar quality, you could probably expect that the one you're going to have is going to be in that range, but at least that's the standard, right? So that's standard for that, around that square footage that you have on your comp. So that's where you're thinking at, 400 to 450-ish, you know, for your comparable. And then for the two that are active under contract, again, you want to go through those as well. Now, the thing about that is it's under contract. The list price was 475 when it went under contract. In this market, it could have gone over. It could be at 490. You know, you don't know for sure. You can definitely get on the phone with that agent and say, listen, I'm doing a comparable with your property that you have there. Are you willing to let me know, you know, did the property have a lot of traction when you put it on the market at that price? And you can see how long it stayed on the market. So you can think about if it stayed on the market for 30 or 60 days in today's market, it probably did not go at list price. If it was one day, it may have gone over list price. So you can even just in your own head think about that. And that's only going to help you when you meet with the seller and when you start talking to them about pricing. So let's just say we have our comps. Everything here looks good after you go through those pictures. So we've highlighted 1, 2, and 3, and then these 3 closed deals down here. So in our comparables, we're going to have 3 closed, 2 active under contract, and 1 pending, okay? All you have to do with this information is come down to the bottom and go to Cloud CMA. So just right here. So keep your numbers clicked over here and come down to Cloud CMA, and all you do is just press Cloud CMA. The reason you do that and the reason that we go through Matrix is because of this right here. So exact listings by MLS number, it pulled it all in for us. So we did not have to write down the numbers or go in through Cloud CMA and do all of that homework. We did it all in Matrix, which is really, that's the whole hardest part of all of this that we're doing today. And then it just pulled it in. So that's why we do that. Now you're going to enter your client's information. So my client is Jane Smith. You can put private notes in here if you want, just for you to keep up with, but you don't have to. And now we're going to go put their address in. And as long as it finds it in the property tax records, you're going to be able to just click there and it would pull it up in there. Now this one says no tax data input manually. I do know just based off the tax records of looking at this, and it's 2218 square feet. So if it doesn't pull up the tax records automatically, hopefully it does. But if it doesn't, all you have to do is just put that information in these boxes. Residential property type, not another subject type. And then it says add cover photo. If you do not put a cover photo in there, like, you know, obviously you have to be careful. You're meeting with a seller. They probably are like, how did you get a picture of my home? If you don't put a picture in there, it's going to default to a Google satellite view. It looks nice. I mean, you don't really need to do anything in order to have that happen. So it will default to that. All that you need to do is just do that information. Put the address, put this if it doesn't pull from the tax records, and then scroll down. So you can see here we had exact listings, which is what we pulled in, or it says the quick and dirty listings, right? So that's if you didn't do this and you just came in and you needed a CMA in 5 minutes, which is probably not going to be the most accurate CMA, but at least you'll have one. Then you can do that and click automatically get those properties. It might pull some of these, it might not. It's not an exact science like what we just did in the Matrix. So we're going to stick with what we did in the Matrix. All we're going to do is go down here to fetch listings. So we click that. Now we're going to go to the next screen where we can start to figure out, all right, do we really want to keep those listings in there? Do we want to change it up? You know, what are we really looking at? So here's a map of the neighborhood. Here's our subject property, this purple pin here. You've got solds in red, and you can see we have 3 solds, 1 pending, and 2 active under contract. They call it backup offer as available, but that's what we're working with. You'll have a list of all of those properties. These are the ones we just looked at in Matrix. If you were like, wait a minute, let me go back in there and see this property again, all you have to do is click the little arrow down right there. And now you can scroll through the pictures. You can read the info. You can also, this is kind of like level 2, is you can also make adjustments. So say this property had a pool. It does say it does have a pool, and your subject property does not have a pool. Well, then you can come down here and make an adjustment for that pool to get it a little more accurate on the report. Unless you just really feel comfortable with that, I would avoid that, but I wanted you to know it is in there. And all that I would do is just talk to your seller. Hey, you don't have a pool, they do. you may be looking at around about, X dollars based on the quality of that pool, if everybody else in the neighborhood has one, right? That one's kind of a quirk based on how appraisers may look at it, but at least you know that info, and your seller's not telling you, hey, they also have a pool. You know it, you're coming in, you're the expert. So here's our properties. Say everything looks good. We agree with where all of these properties are priced at. You can set a price for your subject property. So before you even go in, this will get printed out on your report. I'd advise you not to do that because that's going to give you one price. I would suggest that you go in again with that range, even if it's $5,000, $450 to $455. I would still rather you go in with a range rather than an exact price. Things change, day by day in the real estate market, and so they could get more for it or less for it, and now you're locked into that price. So have a range. $10,000 is probably better in that price point to have than $1,000 or $2,000 range, just because it gives you some leeway there, especially if you've never seen that property. So we have our listings here. Everything looks good. We'll just go to customize report. So if you pull up that portion in your CMA and you do not see theme Solid Source Realty, that's your first thing. First thing you want to do is click on theme, and you may just have like a generic, colored scheme here. You want to go down to where it says Solid Source Realty or Solid Source Realty GA. And if you don't see those options, then it's because you haven't set it up in your profile. So all you have to do is click on this icon up here. It may have your picture, it may not have your picture. If it doesn't have your picture, then you definitely haven't set it up yet. All you have to do is go to account settings. Once you're on your picture, on your name, put your info in, and under company name, make sure you have Solid Source Realty or Solid Source Realty GA. That's what triggers that theme to be able to let you select it. I would fill out all of your other information, contact info, everything else, because this is what will pre-print on that Cloud CMA, and it's just going to be there every time you go make one. So then you won't have to redo it. Obviously, it's nice to have the people that you're sending these to have your information. So do that. Go ahead and set it up once. That's all you have to do is just set it up one time. Put your picture in there as well. And once you do that, then you will have the option to select Solid Source Realty. And why you want to do that is because of this cover page. So this cover page will automatically come up, and information about Solid Source. So why Solid Source? This will come up automatically, pre-printed in there. 1 billion sold annually will come up in there. And so it just gives you a little more credibility with your seller once you have those pieces of info in there. And you can also edit those. So if you wanted to move them around, you wanted why Solid Source to be up higher, all you have to do is drag and drop and put that wherever you want. So when you're looking at this page, everything in this section will be produced in your CMA, okay? So just note, the first time you do this, you want to go through here and look at all of these. You can see there's a little eye right here. All you have to do is click that, and you can see what that document's going to look like when you print it or when you produce it, okay? So definitely go through there and make sure the first time that everything's how you would want it to be presented, because also what you can do over here on the left is click any of these items and add into your stock CMA, right? So intelligent pricing and timing, this is actually a really nice slide that says, asking price versus percentage of buyers, right? If you're at market value, you have 60% of buyers. If you're 15% over, you're going to only attract about 10% of buyers. So you didn't have to produce this, but it shows you as the professional because you included it, to your sellers. I would suggest reading over it, obviously, so you know what's in there, but also there's some really good information in here too for agents. A showing and open house checklist. So I just clicked the plus sign and it added it in. Let's go see what that looks like. So this is going to help your seller, right? Once your home goes on the market, here's some things you want to do: eliminate clutter, be hospitable, remove breakables, hide the jewelry, that type thing. But things that you don't have to think of because you're dealing with a lot, just getting to the CMA portion and thinking about pricing, meeting that client, where we're going to price it at, how we're going to get it marketed, all of those things. Just let this do some of the heavy lifting for you and just let it have it in your CMA to your clients. So anything in here you can remove with the red mark. or you can move it around with just highlighting above it and moving it. Anything else over here on testimonials, if you have Zillow testimonials, put them in there. If you do not have Zillow testimonials, do not put them in there because it's just going to be a blank page, right? So all you have to do is just go minus that if it's already in there. But if it is in there and you do have Zillow reviews, it does look very nice when you print this out, right? It's going to just pull those reviews right in. All you have to do is just set it up once. You can do other client testimonials, testimonial trees in there too. The guidance section is really nice for you providing your seller information. CMAs versus appraisals, what's the difference, right? You don't have to explain it verbally to that client. You can have it in print so that they can read it for themselves. Instant offers and iBuyers, this is a hot topic, right? Derek just did a tremendous video with Michelle Velchek and Mitchell Palm about instant offers and iBuyers. And so this explains a little bit of that to your seller. So they're thinking about selling to Knock, or not Knock anymore, to Zillow or to Open Door OfferPad. Well, this kind of goes over some of that information. So use those tools. Don't feel like you have to take it all on yourself to figure out. There is a marketing action plan in here. And now this one is actually customized to you. So what will happen is you can see marketing action plan edit. All of these won't say that, right? Like if I'm hovering above these, there's no edit button out here, but this one there is, because you can actually go in and type your information in there. So let's just see, for example, if I edit this, I'm going to say, I send out 100 postcards of just listed for every listing. So maybe that's something you do. Maybe you have 3 things, maybe you have 5 things, whatever it is. This is a way for you to showcase what you do and have it in print and have it look really nice. So you just go down to save. It's going to save it. And then now that action plan is inside of your CMA. And you may want to put that, higher up in there in the box. This is the type of things that I do for my clients, and then go through the listings, right? So it's going to print out a map automatically of the listings. It's going to have in here all of those details that we looked at, right? The summary of comparables, the details of all of the listings that we brought in. And so now as you're going through this report with your client, you have all of the data there, right? And that's what sellers want to see, is what sold, what did they sell for, why did they sell for that? It also has the pictures in here. So it'll have the first 12 pictures of that listing, and you can add more if you want to. This gives them a general idea, because a lot of times you may visit with a seller and they say, oh yeah, that home sold for 500, my home's worth at least that. And then you say, well, why? Well, because we have X, Y, and Z, in our house, and that one only has, these type of upgrades. Well, then you can just go to the picture section and you say, well, it does look like they have, granite countertops. And then the seller says, oh yeah, that's right. Now, maybe they got that after the last time I was over there. So this is a way just to get the ambiguity out of it. It's factual, here's what we're dealing with, and here's how we're going to best price your home, right? Which is really what we want to do, is we want to be the experts providing accurate, representation of what their home may sell for in this market. We're not appraisers, which again is what this CMA versus appraisals will help you explain to your clients, but we are trying to get them a range of where it may sell, what it may sell for. Staging your homes in here. So that's a really nice slide that you can just have already presented out and say, we're good. We're good with all of this. Everything looks great. Then all we have to do is go publish report. And you're going to have options here. You're going to be able to, and you can see it says publishing. You're going to be able to send this as a PDF to your client. You can send them a link to it, so you don't actually have to download it and then send it. You can print it out, or probably one of the nicest additions here is that you can present it live. And so you can do that through Zoom, like we're on Zoom now, or you can actually be in front of them on your computer or on your tablet and go through it with them. So it's a little more interactive than a PDF. So let's first look at the PDF. So view PDF, now you can print, you can have it printed whatever you want, right? So here's all of that information. You're gonna have your picture there, how accurate are CMAs, all of that stuff, everything we just went over. So it's gonna be paper form, obviously. And then you can do view live. So this is more like we talked about, interactive screen. You can go through there, click on some different pieces. This is more if you're sharing your screen like we're doing on Zoom, or if you're in front of your client. These are the types of things that you may want to do. So it's a really nice looking, CMA. They probably haven't seen this before, from other agents. And so you'll look like, you're cutting edge, because you are. And so you can go in here, what is the MLS, the comps? You remember the comps that we looked at? It's just going to be on a more interactive scale, right? You'll be able to click here, and now you can go through pictures. You can read the information like, kind of real time, right? So as you're sitting there with your person, maybe you go through here and you say, hey, wait a minute, this actually isn't comparable now that we're talking about it, now that I'm here at your home. So now you can go uninclude that comp. So it's a really nice feature to have and sit here with your client and be able to do that. You want to go back to home screen, just click on the logo. Now you're here, you can go over your information, average pricing, all of the things that we have in that printed version. So you have options. Use it however you want. When you do finish it, it will present like this, and now you can share it, present it live, do whatever you want, and then talk about the pricing, obviously, right? So in your head, you've thought about the ranges of pricing. Now you're meeting that client and talking to them about the CMA, going through everything. And one of the easiest questions, to say to the seller is, well, did you have a price in mind that you wanted to sell for? And in this example, maybe they say, we'll just pull up our matrix. Maybe they say, yeah, I want to price, $530 for our home. Well, at 2,200 square feet and $530, it's going to be the highest price home sold, right? And then also you're going to have to kind of see what that home looked like. Maybe they had, marble everything, and who knows what they've done to the inside of that property, and maybe it is worth that. But at least you'll be able to have factual information from the CMA when you meet with them, and then be able to guide them, right? Because that's what we want to do. So